Today, as part of our Business Spotlight program, I'm with John Lockrey. He's the co-founder and business development executive of Clever Kinetics. They're based in Tralee in County Kerry. So over to you, John. What is it you do, and for how long have you been doing it?
Hello, Kevin. How you doing? This latest venture, Clever Kinetics, we've been only going about 18 months now. It's a
Hmm.
high potential startup that I got involved in with a couple of Ukrainian gentlemen who were displaced as a result of the war, which we're all very familiar with.
Hmm.
And they've been working in the nuclear industry over there, but they've been also working on the sides on a much more environmentally friendly and much more effective energy storage system than we already have anywhere in the world at the minute. And so that's what we're focused on. We're in the R&D phase. We're 18 months in. Another 6 months, we'll have a working prototype. And essentially, what we're developing is an energy storage unit that it has 90% efficiency, which is like way above what's out there at the moment.
Wow.
uh, Low maintenance, long lifespan, is totally scalable, can be used like in a hybrid way with lithium batteries in a car or bigger. And the initial research shows that it would extend the life of a lithium battery by at least 50%, and each charge lifespan by at least 50%. But then it can also be used as a standalone unit as well for storing energy from wind farms and solar fields and so forth. So we're very excited about it. It's we're at that phase where we almost have the prototype fully developed, and exciting times ahead, hopefully, for the company.
Fantastic. So that's brilliant, cutting edge stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And I suppose we should also mention you wear a couple of other hats as well with your other hand. Yeah.
I do. One of the reasons I got into this with Sergey and Andrei was because I've been an environmentalist for some years, and I was kind of probably one of the people who bought into it quite early and was a
Right.
member of the transition movement and so forth. But then I also, back in as far back as 2008, I invented a board game which ended up selling globally and had strong environmental issues in it. But then I'm from the northern part of Ireland, so I have a strong grounding in civil rights from my parents and so forth. So it also had a lot of civil rights themes within it. And so that board game was a bit of a sort of bit of fun to begin with, but then we hit some amazing kind of connections. Like, for instance, Amnesty International sold it internationally for us, and at one point it was even selling from the Nobel Peace Prize Center in Oslo. So
Oh,
it was
yeah.
quite something for a while. Although then, ironically, because the board game had a lot of strong environmental themes, uh, it also had a large carbon footprint. So we
Well,
had to kind of call it a day in 2020 and say, okay, we actually, in all conscience, can't do this anymore. So,
okay.
so this so it was kind of, my background has been in business development. I've worked in the UK as much as 25 years ago and developed a training and training business there, and then I came back and worked in my own consultancy business here, and then the game, and now this latest kind of energy storage business, which is where I'm at right now. But then I also support businesses and communities through mentoring and support and funding and so forth, like European funding through the Leader program. I do some work on that as well. So yeah, I'm busy enough.
Fantastic, but it's all kind of connected environmentally, basically. Yeah.
Environmental and sort of social kind of, like even the enterprises I've been involved in have all been sort of more on the social side, like
Interesting.
supporting and helping, people as best we could along the way. Mhm.
Fantastic. And you've been growing, obviously, over that period. You're in the developmental stage with this, but you've been growing. What would you attribute your growth to?
Mhm. I suppose with um, meeting demand, really, in the first instance, because when I was in the training industry, we were working with young people who were no longer in school because the school system as it existed didn't work for them.
Oh, wow.
So we created alternatives that would still give them an opportunity to have an education and maybe even get back into the more, formal education system. But the reality was there were a large cohort of young people who were out of school and not doing anything. So we met that demand.
Wow.
And when it came to the game, there were a lot of people out there who wanted alternatives to the monopolies and the Settlers of Catan type games of this world, who wanted something with more of a social conscience. And with that, I mean, it was a bit ambitious at the time, I must admit, and I never imagined Amnesty International would sell the game on our behalf, because when I first made the approach to them, and we were selling, quite a few games, and it was going well, but that really just upped the ante completely. And I initially approached them just to see if they would let me stick their kind of logo on it, say, we approve of this game. We traveled over to Oxford to their headquarters in the UK and met with them. And during that meeting, they were like, well, we sell stuff. And I'm like, seriously? And I had no idea. Saying, yeah, we've got this ethical catalog that goes out to so many members globally. And so we came to an agreement, and so it was a wee bit of and to be honest with you, a wee bit of brass neck and a wee bit of luck, because you're sort of
no, brass neck is a great attribute, I think, and possibly a thick skin to go with it,
Yeah. And hopefully, in this current venture, we're hoping for something similar to happen, because, well, to be honest, we've already had, I'm fortunate enough in the work that I do to be in contact with some of the people in the industry, like the head of the Air Grid, the chair of the Air Grid here in Ireland. And we had a sit-down meeting with them, and they're like, wow, this really is, this is going places. This is the kind of technology we will really be into when it's developed. And also, with one of the larger renewable energy companies in the country up in the Midlands there, we went and met with them, and they're the same. They were like, oh, will you come and work for us now, kind of thing. Not me, obviously, because I'm not the scientist, but
right. The
colleagues. So, we're hoping for a similar kind of, and I think that's, in all the growth in the industry, the businesses I've been involved in over the years, it's been a little bit of, sticking your neck out and just approaching people and having a crack, but then also following through. I think that's the other thing, with the game, with the anything else in the consultancy, and that it's about having a reputation that is reliable, and that people can say, yeah, I can put my trust in that.
Trust is huge, obviously, in a lot of and no less in business.
Mm.
If you had to start from square one in business, and it seems like you're doing that a few times, but what would you do differently?
Do you know what? I was thinking about this, and I'm not entirely sure, because I find in business, it is often a matter of luck. It's often a matter of just being in the right place at the right moment with the right person, and something triggers, and you're like, oh yeah. Because when we started Clever Kinetics, I just happened to meet Serhi because of my interest in human rights, and we had a new population coming into Ireland who needed our support and help. And I got involved in it for that reason. And then I met this guy who was a practical genius standing right in front of me, who was developing these technologies that no one else has ever thought of. So I suppose if I were to, maybe the one attribute I'd say is to be more open, to be more like when somebody throws something at you and says, I can do this, or I think I can do this. And your initial instinct is, yeah, sure you can, is to be like, okay, yeah, let me hear this. Let me pay attention. And, maybe there's something in this that I'm missing here that I need to hear.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big believer in the old saying that, luck is, when preparation meets opportunity,
Yeah.
It sounds like you have a bit of that. So again, you kind of touched on it as well, but what have been your biggest learnings as an employer since you began in business?
The biggest learning as an employer, I'd say it's probably to be as consistent as possible. Because like I've had a lot of ups and downs in that specific area over the years, and you never get it right. That's what I find. you just, you never get it at 100% right. And all you can do is the best you can. But I think you do the best you can if you're consistent across the board with your approaches from your initial kind of putting the job specs together and looking at what kind of person you're looking for, through to the interviews and the people you're meeting. Because it's we're all human beings, and it's easy to be swayed by something you like, you know. But something you like isn't necessarily something you want for the long term. So I'd say that my biggest learning curve has been to stand back and kind of look at it in the bigger picture and be consistent across the board with, as an employer of people, to make sure that you are not favoring because of likes, but favoring because of the skill set that someone brings to the table and what they can potentially do for you and your organization and your company.
Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. The other one then, how do you balance your personal life with the demands of running a business? You know, the famous work-life balance.
Yeah. Poorly, probably. No, I've got better, to be fair. I used to be terrible. It's interesting because I ended up back in Ireland, living back in Ireland, because I had a terrible work-life balance when I was in the UK, and we were building a company there, and we were full on with it. And my wife at the time sadly passed away since, but she said to me, "It's one of those things that life presents you as well, that you can also learn from and develop from." But she said to me, "We're going to Ireland. We're going to Kerry for 5 days." Now I'm from a County Derry man originally. I think I'd been to Kerry once in my whole life before that. And I said, "We're going to Kerry for 5 days." And I was like, "Why are we going to Kerry?" And she said, "We're taking a holiday. We haven't had a holiday in 4 years. We're going to visit my friend Dorothy." And I had a very male response to it, I must admit. I said to her, "Well, like, she's your friend, why am I going?"
You're not going your own, yeah.
She literally clipped me around the ear and said, "You're going to Kerry whether you like it or not." And I was like,
Good.
Okay. And in all honesty, when the 5 days were up, I turned to her and I said, something, why don't we come and live here? Why don't we have a new approach to life? Not that approach which is, constant, and wearing yourself out and burning out, and trying to have a balance to life. So I'm kind of still mindful of that. I make sure I take holidays, I take breaks, I go off and I switch off and I do other things. Inevitably, I do work occasionally in the evenings, like something goes on and you have to do it, and you have to meet a deadline, and stuff to do. But I try my best to be mindful of that, and make sure that I have switch off time. And I do things like go to the swimming pool and stuff like that, So yeah.
But I think if you work it into a schedule and then let all the other stuff come in around it, not the other way around, if you know what I mean.
I think that's a good way of putting it, is right. Yeah. Yeah. Just, don't. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Fantastic. So the other one, we touched on it a bit, but what qualities do you look for in employees, and how do you foster a positive and productive work environment?
I think, I've had this discussion a few times with people over the years, because I'd probably be considered as quite a sort of easygoing manager when I've been in management, And the reason for that is, at some point I kind of felt, what I had a realization for me anyway, was that I have yet to meet a person, and I know there are a lot of stories out there of one kind or another, but I have yet to meet the person who doesn't want to work and doesn't want to be successful and doesn't want to be good at what they do.
Interesting.
And my approach has been to facilitate that, to try and support a person to be as good as they possibly can and be as successful as they possibly can, because I've yet to meet the person who doesn't want to be.
You're reminding me of the story of the auctioneer where the couple were looking at buying a house, and the couple were a bit concerned. They said, "What are the neighbors like?" And the auctioneer responded, "Well, what were the neighbors like in their last house?" And they said, "Oh, they were great. Well, they'll be great here too." So I think it's the energy you give off, or the
That's it. I've stuck to that over the years when I've interviewed people, and I've seen that kind of enthusiasm and drive and nervousness. Because I think, if someone's sitting in front of you nervous, then they want to work for you. They want that job. Yeah,
Fantastic, John. And just to round off, what are some common misconceptions about running a business, and how do you address them?
Okay, probably the common comment, one of the main common misconceptions is that you are rich, first of all, that somehow that you are, much wealthier than you actually are in reality, and that and there's a lot of hidden cost to business,
Mhm.
and you'll know that yourself, and
Mm.
it's a perception that you have lots of money to work with, but there's a kind of there's a balancing act always, isn't there? Of making things work, and making the money spread, and doing the things you want to do with it. And so that's probably one of the main ones, really.
Okay.
I'd say one of the other ones is the kind of uh, that you maybe you're only doing it for the money.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
yeah. Everybody thinks everyone goes into business to make money. And that's just not the case. Most people I've met who go into business, it's because they've got a drive in them to bring an idea forward, to do something that makes a difference in the world they live in, or the community they live in, the country they live in. Most people, the money tends, for the majority of people I met anyway, the money is a secondary thing. It's that drive to do something that they, again, feel great about the success of it.
Yeah, I know what. Yeah, one of my favorites is Simon Sinek. Start with your why. I don't know if you've seen that TED Talk, and he gives some strong examples. I don't know if you heard of Simon Sinek before, but
I haven't, no.
no, well, you should. Sinek, American guy, but he got a huge number of followers, millions. But he's got everything around that. Start with your why, and then work. Most people know what they do. Small
Uh-huh.
number know how they do it, but very few, really define why they're doing it. But if we start with that, he's got some very strong examples in a TED Talk, which was the one that I saw first. He's got a load of books on it now, but um, it ties into exactly what you're saying there. If you know what your why is, that gives you the drive to succeed. And you
Must
should.
look that up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, it'd be worth it. It's 18-minute TED Talk, and he's an edutainer, I suppose.
Yeah.
He's easy to listen to, and he's very clear, etc. And the examples he gives are fantastic. Listen, John, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I'm really delighted you were able to take some time with your busy schedule to talk to us today. And there's a load of stuff in there for our viewers that will be valuable going forward for them. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Kev. It was lovely to meet you. Take care.